Hi everyone, and today let's talk about open plan habitats in Pokopia. So, you may be wondering, what in the world are open plan habitats? Some of you may already have an idea in your head. Essentially, these are your usual habitats you use to find Pokemon, but you put a little spin on it. These designs are built in a way where you use your Pokemon world to ensure that your Pokemon needs are catered for. Example A. Before I get into more detail about my build so far, let's quickly go into the positives of building in this way. You don't require a complete structure for this, so 4 walls and a door, not needed. No need to load into a home. It's really good for a starting area like Withering Wasteland, especially when you're considering all of the DIYs that you may be acquiring early on in the game. Or you don't have a lot of time like myself and you don't have the time to put in for massive intricate builds, and it's just a great way to fill up a space or make an empty space feel full in some way without having that big building there that will take you hours to make. Let's move on to the first build. Okay, so now that I've ironed out my ideas and the positives, let me quickly get into some of the ideas that I've worked on to help inspire you guys along the way and using these builds in your own worlds. But these ideas that I'm showing you today are all in Withering Wasteland. My goal for this area is to make it cute, cozy, efficient, and I want everything to look quite natural. So I thought an open plan concept would work amazing, especially around that first Pokemon Center in Withering Wasteland. So the first area I decided to work on was specifically for Scyther. The reason for this is because of his logging ability, and it's something that's very useful in the game, so I figured I'd want to put him in a place where he's close and efficient, and also Scyther's pretty cool. When I first start, I think about the Pokemon and the general vibe that I get from them. Their abilities, their colors, everything, their type as well. It all influences my decisions in terms of what design I want to do. As you can see, I really utilized cliff sides and fencing, as well as bridge planks to be able to create covered spaces in these areas. Kind of encloses the space, but also means that I don't have to build on the other side. I used fencing and bridge planks to kind of create a cover that hangs off of the cliff. And I used the pre-existing cliffs in the game. I probably did a tiny bit of terraforming to kind of shape it out a little bit more and give me a little bit more working space. You can kind of see that in this area that I'm walking through now. So I kind of just used rollout to carve out an open area because I wanted the space that the Pokemon had to be a little bit deeper in the cliff. And it didn't take me long because I wanted it to be quite natural, so it didn't have to be perfect. So once I had my space carved out, I added Scyther's habitat. As you can see, I used moss and mushroom lighting quite a bit throughout this build. I made a little reading nook in the side and hung up a couple shelves, some vines, some decor. I even added a carpet to just give it a little bit more of a cozy vibe and to bring everything together. After finishing the build and after a day or so, I ended up asking Scyther his comfort level just to make sure I covered everything that I needed. I realized that the couch that he had there to sit or sleep on was not quite the size that he needed. So I ended up carving out an extra little area next to his main habitat, and I made a little bit of a bedding area with a straw bed there. In this area, I also added more fencing and tried to fit this color scheme for the rest of the area, so it was a little bit of an extension. Another great thing to note is it's really easy to kind of build, expand, and add to existing area. Rather than needing to break things down, it only really takes 10 to 15 minutes extra, as long as you have all the items you need, to add an extension. My second build in this was actually for 2 Pokemon. I'm changing it up a little bit. After taking a look at my Pokedex and the Pokemon that I needed and the Pokemon habitats that were required for certain Pokemon, I ended up deciding to create a little bit of a logging home for Timber and Goda. Again, I wanted to use these Pokemon because they have a building ability, so I wanted them to be in a place where they are accessible and it's easy to find them. And on top of that, they are each other's evolutions. So I just thought it would be really cute putting two of them together, just kind of like they're a little family on their own. As you can see, I tried to use some logs, some crates, and grass flooring to kind of match their abilities, their vibes, the kind of atmosphere you would get in a kind of log home. I also ended up choosing just using a tatami block because I had it available in my DIYs. I haven't unlocked everything, but I used it as a little bit of a carpet for the area. And the last bit of it was just adding the decor to the space, finding those little bits that I can add onto the walls to fill up any kind of gaps, to put any items on any kind of blocks or benches. And as you can see, one of my favorite things to do in these kind of cozy builds is to use grass and flowers and put them on top of the bridge planks. One really great tip is if you are aiming to go for a natural build, you should use flowers and grass in your build to kind of fill up any kind of space, but also add to the atmosphere of what you're trying to make. One thing I love about this game is that you can literally take grass and flowers and put it anywhere, no matter what kind of material it is. So my final build I chose to do for Onyx. As you can see, there's a bit of a theme with these builds. Felt bad for Onyx to start off with because he was quite isolated in the game when I first found him, and I had him away from all the other Pokemon, but his crush ability is necessary for painting. Had to put him in a better spot where I can access and see him quite easily, or find him with some honey if I ever need to. Following the same habitat rules as before, I kind of thought about what Onyx would need. He prefers dry areas, so I really tried to go and hone into that theme. So I chose stone to cover most of his space, and then I also weaved in a little bit of stone bricks and hay to kind of add to the atmosphere. And I also used them a lot at the base of the fencing that I was using to kind of change up the previous patterns that I was kind of following in the game, or the previous designs that I was using in the game. It was similar, but it was different enough to make it a little bit more interesting. For something extra, I actually ended up extending Onyx's roof. Now, the reason for that is that I was trying to utilize as much space as possible, but on the top of his roof, I decided to make a little sitting area for all the Pokemon to enjoy. I thought it would hone in really great with the surrounding area around the Pokemon Center being a community area, and it just added and made the space look more fuller, and it gave a bit more diversity between the three habitats that I was building. Overall, I thought it was very much in theme for this space. Now, to do a little bit of a walkthrough on my spaces that I made. As you can see, by doing open plan spaces, I managed to put 4 useful Pokemon in one walkable area. But on top of that, the space is looking a lot cuter, and it's looking a lot less empty than it was previously to me starting this build. Now, some of you might be thinking, I don't know if this is the kind of style I want to go with, and that is totally fine. You probably wouldn't want to do this kind of building if you prefer bigger builds or utilizing the pre-built housing options that you have in the game. It may not be your general aesthetic. I think it's something that works really well in an area like Withering Wasteland, but in an area that's a bit more built up like Bleak Beach, I don't know if it would correlate in the same way. It might be a little bit too crowded for some, as you've got all these kind of habitats squished into one area with each other. Some people might prefer to have houses fill in those big gaps, but some people might want more open spaces available in their worlds that they're working in. So ultimately, it's about your aesthetic, but open plan habitats can be useful in really small ways. You might want to have these kind of habitats weaved into your existing world, whether it's in between a couple of houses, whether you want to make a smithing area and have a Pokemon live there, or a kitchen and have a Pokemon live there. The game hints to this kind of building, and it's really your choice how you choose to utilize it. So that's my introduction to open plan habitats, and hopefully it gives you some design ideas for your own builds in the game. If you are wanting to see more ideas around this kind of content, around Pokopia, around open plan habitats, please like, comment in the video and subscribe. Let me know what your thoughts are. And if you want to just hang out and see me build some of these ideas in real time and see what my thinking process is like, you can follow me on Twitch as well and come by and say hi in my stream. P.S. This is my first ever formal YouTube video. To anyone watching this, thank you so much for being here, and see you soon.